Members of the 40th State, members of the 40th State, we want to thank you so much for coming to this press conference at a short notice. We have got His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Mafume, here to address us pertaining to the issue of Rufaro Stadium. So without wasting much of our time, I want to hand over this time to our other one, His Worship the Mayor, Jacob Mafume. Over to you, Mayor. And before he takes over, I want to introduce our legal officer here, Mrs. Zewere, on the far left. So Mayor, you can take over.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming at such short notice. I thought it was important that we respond to the issues that have been circulating on social media to avoid an unnecessary escalation and to avoid unnecessary suspicions of any kind. What we have is that we as a council were approached sometime last year or in the previous years by Dynamo's Football Club. Dynamo's Football Club approached us and said they wanted a long lease on Rufaro Stadium. And their justification was that they had found an investor in their club, and the investor was Sakunda Holdings. They then asked for a long lease. We then intimated to Dynamo's Football Club that we had at once upon a time given it land to build a stadium that is in waterfalls. And we inquired as to what happened to that land. At that time, we also received beautiful pictures of what that waterfalls would look like. There were pictures, there were hotels and stadiums and training grounds that everyone thought would be a state-of-the-art stadium, which Dynamos was going to use. If you go to waterfalls, there is no stadium, but we have the pictures. There is nothing to use, and they started at some time when they had wrangles to fight over the land. Be that as it may, they said, yes, we now have got an investor. We then said, yes, but this is a community club. We want you to define what is long lease. A number of years were being put, 30 years, some 100 years, and so forth. And then we said that is not possible. Why can't that investor who is investing in your club come forward to the city to discuss whatever projections that they had? It then turned out that the investor was Sakunda Holdings Private Limited. They came to the city with their proposals. In other words, they went in front of the Dynamo's proposals and started to give a proposal in their own right. That proposal was to the effect that they will modernize the stadium, and if you go to the stadium, there are some plastic seats. There are some plastic seats that have been put there, and that those seats would then be put in the whole stadium, and so forth. So, and those seats were said to be a sample of the seats that would then be put in the stadium in lieu of the long lease and so forth and so forth. So, the people were then taken on a tour to South Africa. I think it was councillors, some officials who went to that tour and came back very impressed with the stadia that were in South Africa. Unfortunately, it would appear to me that they just looked at the stadium. They forgot to bring back the paperwork that on how those stadiums are managed and what are the arrangements with the various councils and the ownerships and the various sponsorships around the stadium. So in terms of material, we had very impressed the council officials and very impressed the councillors, but with very little paperwork. I've asked for it, I've not seen it. as to what are the arrangements of the naming rights of a stadia, like if the Emirates names the stadia Emirates, what is the nature of the agreement, who is getting paid, and it's for how long, and so forth. And there is a peculiarity about the leases of Zimbabwean property. They are very long. If you read the papers, if you do a quick Google search, you realize that naming rights are for 10 years, 5 years, and so forth in other jurisdictions. But here, for some reason, people love very long leases where people pay very little. But be that as it may, we then entered into a memorandum of understanding as the city of Harare with Sakunda Holdings Private Limited, which memorandum of understanding bars us, of course, from disclosing the contents. But it would appear that Sakunda has gone to the press in violation of the memorandum of understanding, because the memorandum of understanding was clear that if there are issues in the memorandum, we write to each other, give each other 7 days to deal with those issues, and part of the clause specifically prohibited us from discussing these matters in public without the consent of the other party. And we have largely kept to our side of the bargain, and we had not discussed that. But I'm made to understand we entered into a memorandum of understanding so that we could clearly understand the proposals that they had for the council and what they wanted to do with the stadium. And the proposal was to give us a feasibility study, models, costing, and so forth, so that we are all clear in the picture as to how we were going to proceed going forward. I'm made to understand by my chamber secretary, who is represented here by the legal secretary, that they had been in contact to the effect that we are going to present or get a presentation from them on the feasibility and the designs that we saw all over social media. I have not seen those designs before. I saw them, like everybody else, for the first time in the social media. I don't know if any of you had seen them before. None of my officials had seen that very graphic stadium, which is telling us that's how Mbare would look like. So we were supposed to get a presentation from them on Monday. And I'm told they'd been informally advised that they will come and present to the business committee and the various committee information that are needed before the decision comes to a full council. So that is where we are. We don't have the feasibility study. What we currently have are the plastic bucket seats that are the sample that are currently at the Rufaro Stadium by way of illustration. So, where are we? We thought that they were going to come to us to give a presentation of the things that they've put, the feasibility studies, and the mechanics of what needed to be done and how they were going to do it. And we as council have been on the wrong side of many deals. And what we have resolved as council is to carefully look at every agreement and get the necessary expertise externally to assist us to negotiate complex commercial transactions. I am a commercial lawyer myself. I've been a lawyer for 22 years. Some of these things require expertise, with due respect to the expertise we have here, but it requires specialized skill sets to be able to negotiate, and especially when you are negotiating with powerful figures and powerful companies that we have. We are coming at the wrong end of many deals where we are crucified for having signed what we don't understand. So that is all we were doing. That is due diligence. However, I then received a letter from one, I don't know what's his name. He calls himself Mberikwazo something. I have never met this man in my life. I don't understand how the man can write to me a rude letter. I'm trying to look for the letter in my phone. Do you have it? Yes, yes. The man, do you have a page where he's got his signature? Yes. There's this man called Mr. C. Chitambo. I've never met him. I don't know him. On inquiry, I'm told he's one of the most important people in this country, very rich, and so forth. I can't understand where all these accusations he has put. He calls me the mayor of Harare, at least. Then he says, attention, his worship, Councillor Jega. That is the last sentence he respected me. That is the end of his respect. He goes on to write a letter to an individual he has never met, a city father to boot, and he is accusing me of being toxic, unfounded allegations. He is shocked and disturbed by untruthful and malicious allegations. He goes on. I don't know whether he was with a student's companion when he was writing the letter. He goes on. Given the toxicity we have now in councils, look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know this man. I have never met this man. Why he does not respect me, I do not understand. I have never written to him with any disrespect. I am the city father. I am the mayor of Harare. I represent 3 million people, no less. Why I am a subject of such a letter without a courtesy of a phone call, without asking for a meeting? I don't understand. Maybe that's the reason why I'm still poor. You have to be rude to be what? To be rich. This is not the first letter I've received from business people in Harare that is very rude. There's a sense of entitlement. If we are going to engage in business, if we are going to, you need to guide us and help us. You do not insult us. You need to, we can even, for record, when I'm called by a bishop, when I'm called by a church leader, I go to them. I don't ask them to come to me. If I were to be called by Bishop Mutend, if I were to be called by Bishop Ezekiel Guti, and so forth, I will go there because I respect those people. They are my elders. I will not call them to a meeting. If I am to be called by a chief executive of a big company that has contributed to the employment of people and invested in this country, the chief executive of INSCO, Sakunda, if they want me to come to their office, I will go to the office. That is how we respect them. We are not here to disrespect people who have contributed to Harare more than we are. But what I cannot understand is the capacity to write a letter to a person whom you want to do business with, proceed to insult them, not talk to them, and then expect them to surrender assets of the city to you, to a person we have never met. We have never had any interaction. I have the greatest respect for these companies. They employ a lot of people, they invest, they keep Harare going. We have never written to them a rude letter. We have never stopped them from coming to the office to have a meeting. I asked my assistant, when did I refuse to meet? For the record, if they had called me, I would have gone to their offices. And well, this one, maybe not, I don't know him. But his bosses, if they had called me, I would have gladly gone to their offices. That is what we do as people who are running a city. We are the ones who need investment. We are the ones who have to respect people. So I will urge business people in Harare, this is the city that made you. This city was built by other families before you. The history of Harare is a history of families that contributed to it. It's a history of business people that contributed to it. Most of them contributed and left the things that they contributed for us to use. The townhouse here was built by other families. The National Gallery was built by the city, donated by some colonel who left the National Gallery in the custody of the city. I can go one by one the history of the buildings that we have as a city. The stadium itself was built by beer sales. The clinics, many of the things that we have were given to the city by families. Those families do not have leases with the cities. Those families did not take the property of the cities. So, when we ask, what is the nature of your contribution to the city? We are not insulting you. We are hoping that this city, which has made you so rich, is one of the few African cities that has produced billionaires in US dollar terms. It has produced millionaires in US dollar terms. Harare has done that. Sporting millionaires, business millionaires, all of them have originated from Harare. And we respect that. But they have to give back to the city in a manner that does not leave the city fathers embarrassed, that does not leave the councillors embarrassed, and that benefits the residents that have contributed to the riches that you have. So that is all. And when we are given the custodian, some of us have the misfortune of looking young all the time. So we then are a subject to these letters of ridicule. I don't know why. Most people end up looking old before they grow old or they are old. I don't understand. But what we need is to treat each other with respect and to be able to have business arrangements with respect. I'll say, I read one letter from another businessman who was teaching me how to conduct things. When they are supposed to get 200 hectares from us, I receive another letter from a company. They are taking 84 hectares from us. You receive another letter from this person, all in the hope that the big English will intimidate the city fathers. It's not fair. And it's very easy, residents and fellow citizens. It's very easy for us councillors to surrender the assets of the city. It can be done by signatures. And the next thing you will see us in a ceremony cutting ribbons and celebrating pictures or videos on Facebook. Is that how we should operate? Is that how it should be? Most of the things we see never look like what we see on video. And some of them never materialize. But I think we have done the best that we can. Do we have a plan for the stadium? We have a plan for our stadium. The plan is to enter into mutually beneficial agreements, and we would have gone to agree with these partners if they had come to the meetings that we had set up. We are still open to negotiate with them. I can assure you right here, right now, that we have Rufaro Stadium, we have Kanzura Stadium, we have many stadiums in this city. We actually have another stadium which looks very beautiful on video, where the apostolic faith people pray. If you see our video, that stadium, very beautiful. But if you go to the ground, there are people praying there, I claim, and that place does not look as beautiful as it does in our video. But we are even willing to people who want to build stadium to come and get that and build the stadium. This stadium was built by revenues from Rufaro breweries. We have in the process of taking Rufaro marketing back to the residents. We have 85 bars that do not give revenue to the city. but to individuals. We are taking those 85 bars back and getting the revenue back to the city. We own, as a city, the biggest opaque beer brewery in Southern Africa, which is being used by Chibuku. That brewery has been so successful that they've even decided to put flavors in opaque beer. So it is now banana and strawberry and so forth. It is owned by the what? By the city. We are getting 0 cents from that brewer since 1995, when Bernard Chidzero went on a ISAP experiment. That brewery was taken. It has grown on to be still the biggest brewery in Southern Africa. It is very successful and it's making a lot of money. That money will be ring-fenced to develop our stadia as it was by the previous administrators who built Rufaro Stadium. We have a beer levy that we are supposed to be getting from the people who are selling beer in this country. In other countries, it is called a sin tax, where, because you know, when you drink beer, most likely you want to commit a number of sins. So we punish you in advance for those sins by getting a bit of your money. So as you drink, we are supposed to get a beer levy. We are going to ring-fence that beer levy to develop our stadia. Because even if we don't have Rufaro, we need to develop other stadia for the city. The city has grown. We've got hundreds of people in Harare South and so forth that do not have stadia. So we have a plan. All we need to do is to manage our revenue flows, and that is exactly what this council is doing. I've fired the board that was there, or we have fired the board that was there. We are in discussions with Delta to come to the fore and tell us the amount of rentals that they were paying to that individual. That they were paying to that individual, okay, who was taking all the money from the brewery. We have asked our people to get a clear calculation of the beer levy, because a lot of beer is being sold in these cities, in these countries, and it will benefit all the other cities. And we'll ring-fence that money. A stadium is parking. We've got revenues that are coming from city parking. Those revenues must go back to the communities and must be ring-fenced to develop the stadia or the stadiums. So not all is lost. Not all is lost. We are able to do that. But if there are people who want to have naming rights on our stadiums, who want to have their names affixed, maybe you want it to change it to Rufaro Stadium and to Rufaro Mafume Stadium, and if you've got that level of money, we will put it. Then we'll also have to consult the community. Mbare is a community stadium. It is within Mbare. Whatever discussions we have to do, we have to locate the community within that framework. Where are they? How are they represented? What will be the impact on them? How will they continue? Will their lives continue, or they will be moved? Those are the things we have to balance out as a city. But let me underscore this for the avoidance of doubt. Notwithstanding the clear contempt that the person who wrote the letter to me has for me, I will turn the other what? The other cheek, so that he can slap me some more. We as a city are willing to negotiate with anyone in good faith and within the bounds of what we can do as a city over public assets. And if the process you want to do adds value, we will engage in that process. Is that clear? We want to ask business people in Harare that it is not a good idea to write letters of contempt to representatives of the people. Let's all treat each other with the decorum that the office deserves, even where we disagree. We will respect them as people who bring employment, who bring things like that. And I've seen the good things that some of these companies have done to other institutions. They've given cars to the heads of those institutions. Maybe I can also get a car if that is what is there for me. But we don't want that. What we just want is to be able to respect each other and engage business in a manner where we don't plaster letters, we don't plaster videos all over the shop. And we are open to the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding. What we took umbrage with the initial years that people were talking about when the negotiations started, 100 years, 30 years, and so forth. But the Memorandum of Understanding was supposed to prepare us and to talk about those informal things. So we cannot make decisions based on informal interactions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I want maybe to give those who want for some questions, maybe you just tell us your name, where you're coming from, then you ask your name. You ask a question. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Leo from Zimbabwe.com. But my first question would be, my first contribution and question would be to the effect that unfortunately, Your Worship, you are sharing these details to people who have not yet laid eyes on the Memorandum of Understanding. And I think it will be...
Yeah, they'll get it. Yes. It's a public document. It passed through the council, isn't it? No. What? It's not. What happens is that's why I didn't read part of it, and that's why I was also shocked at the behavior of our partner, because they wrote a letter before they wrote to us. Normally, it is the behavior of public institution like us, council, to get things in the public domain. But what was supposed to happen is that we were supposed to write to each other over a dispute within 7 days. Then this thing expressly prohibited us from giving it to the media easily without the consent of the other party. So these are very litigious people, very powerful people. If I were to do that, I might not be able to sustain the battles that will then ensue.
My issue was, seeing as they've already withdrawn from this arrangement, and what is only left is hope that you two can engage, I doubt there is any litigious effect to...
No, there's a person called, what's his name? There's a Chitambo in their setup who learned English in the students' companion. So he just wrote an insulting letter. That's not the way this agreement is supposed to be terminated. They have lawyers, they know how to terminate. That's why we still think maybe he was angry, or I don't know, maybe he wanted to exercise. You know, people in Zimbabwe like writing compositions. Governance is not a competition or an essay writing competition. So he wrote an essay to the mayor simply to advise me that I'm a toxic individual. I shock him, and I'm upset. But beyond that, we can't even understand what was the purpose of writing that letter. And we can't construe it or misconstrue it as a termination of anything, because what was the benefit? Why would you write a letter to a mayor of the city of Harare like that? Why would you do that?
Have you engaged Sakunda?
No, I haven't. I don't even know where to begin. It's a big institution. I'm sure they have protocols. I can't understand why they would just want to write a letter of no legal impact and simply insulting the office of the person they've addressed the letter to. It just doesn't make sense. But like I said, no harm done. That is the nature of public office. We get those things, but we'll urge them to communicate in a more formal manner and in a manner that allows us to continue relationships. Because even if we don't build a stadium together, they operate in the city. They employ people in the city. They live in the city. The business operations are in the city. So I'm sure at the bottom of their hearts, they want a mutually beneficial relationship with the city. I don't know the person who addressed the letter to me, what his intentions were, why he has such a lack of respect for me, but that's a story for another day.
Okay, my name is Lavishisuda from ZPC. Okay, Mayor, Sakunda is accusing you of dragging your feet and constantly pushing dates for the presentation of the feasibility study, and they've interpreted it as if you are not willing to partner with them.
We have not dragged any feet. There's nothing to drag. They, as I indicated earlier, they were supposed to come to a presentation, present their feasibility studies and whatnot in terms of the agreement. If we had dragged any feet, they would have sent a notice or even written to me or sought an appointment with the mayor as the head of the institution. There is no record of such a letter. There is no anything of that sort that has happened. They are talking about rumors in the letter. I don't know what that means. What we have insisted in public, and I have put it and reiterated, that we are going to do our utmost best to protect the public assets. You must remember, previously, there's a businessman who we made a millionaire, I won't mention names, who donated cars, motorbikes, bicycles to the city, isn't it? He is one of the biggest landowners in this city. The bikes and the motorbikes and the cars have since gone. And I have reiterated that we need to enter into mutually beneficial relationships as a city with our business people, so that we don't end up signing things that we don't understand or that hand over assets of the public. And that's all. We have not dragged any feet, nor said we don't want to partner. That is what the world is doing. And we'll subject whatever we produce to processes of government procurement, Auditor General, and other institutions that guide our processes. Even the Ministry of Local Government is involved in some of these things. We have dispute with them on one issue, but it doesn't mean we have disputes with them on each and every issue that arises. We talk and we cooperate. So we don't have any feet that we have dragged. We actually want beneficial relationships. What I said is that if that doesn't work, it still remains our responsibility to maintain our public assets in a usable fashion. Yes.
You want a follow-up question?
Yeah. Okay. Be that as it may, Mayor, but history is not on your side in terms of these deals. Everyone is, Savannah has come out crying that cancel this start.
Who is Savannah?
Savannah Tobago. They also wanted to check on Rufaro Stadium. And then there was also the issue of Yard at one point.
But we can't give. Yeah, they are not here. You see, so we can't talk. I'm being advised by the legal advisor here. But just a little note. How do you put tobacco on a sporting activity like football and advertise it? Do you see the problems you immediately face with FIFA? Have you ever seen a smoking advert on a sporting facility?
Yes, I have.
Which one?
A lot of them.
No. I'll challenge you on that. There are actually international statutes, even adverts, proper even TV adverts. You come from TV, you can't even advertise tobacco. I mean, you'll be sued. You'll be sued to the ends of the world. You can't do that. There are certain things that you cannot associate with sporting activities. It's like, so that I don't talk about that company. It's like if an adult, what is it? An adult company comes and says, we want to sponsor your stadium. And then you say, we are going to be sponsored by Pornhub. Honestly, there are certain things that you cannot associate with sport.
I think the first thing, I just want to find out, you can't do the context you gave, but how was the relationship between you and them? You seem surprised as well by the letter.
Yes, I'm actually surprised. You see, when you have never met a person,
Yeah.
when you have never met the institution, look, even you know, a person whom you are having huge disputes with them, there's a tone in your letter. This is a big company. This is a professional company. There is a way that you expect them to address their dissatisfaction to another office. I, as the mayor, would, and I'm a politician, and I'm one of the most hard-hitting politicians that you can ever find. I would not put pen to paper, even if I were to write to the president of this country, right? The vice president of this country. There are institutions. There are certain things I would not want to be put on record in the manner that I write to them. You see, you might not like me, you might not respect me, but I'm the mayor of the city of Harare. There's a way that you write. So I'm surprised at the tone of the letter. I'm surprised where I spent the whole morning asking my staff, what communication did you do? They said, no, we were holding a meeting on Monday. We had informally informed them that they were supposed to come to that meeting to present the things that they're supposed to present in terms of the memorandum of understanding. I have the names of the people whom they spoke to. I'll leave that for another day. They told me who they spoke to. The very latest, they spoke to that person, what they said to that particular person, and when those people were going to come, which committee they were going to present to.
I get all that, but I was asking as well, because I'm assuming you signed the memorandum of understanding back in March.
Mhm.
Then both sets of organizations, team led, traveled to South Africa. I'm assuming there was decorum.
Yes.
So when did it all break down between you and them?
You tell me. I saw the letter as well as you did when it was plastered over social media. And I saw the designs as well as you did when they were plastered over social media. But what is clear to me is that we as the city will enter into any contracts going forward using the best interests of the residents at heart. If it is in the best interests of the residents, we will do it. Yes, sir.
Then the second thing, sorry, before it closes off, just wanted to ask,
Yes.
Sanders, there are genuine needs here. I mean, at the end of the day, you still need help with some of these things. I think you were speaking about your engagements, even in Delta, about getting back the revenue and everything. What my colleague as well, I think, was driving at is there seems to be a pattern without, or there's a perception that there is now a pattern, that when you deal with corporates, whether past or present, at some point, it breaks down, and you have said you get the wrong end of the stick when the public perception goes out.
Yeah, we are happy to deal with corporates. Just yesterday, I was at Petrie's hospital, where a whole wing of 88 beds has been refurbished by Simbisa Brands. They spent money. We've got oxygen now coming from the walls of the hospital. Simbisa Brands assisted us to do that. The first floor, the second floor, they repaired the lift so that we can take our patients. They never asked for release of Beatrice. hospital. We have many corporates that we work with, okay? And what we want is that if you are going to work with us, let's negotiate the terms. We work with everyone. We are a city. Yeah, it is where we are looking at a potential deal that involves the surrender of public assets for a period of time, be it 30 years, be it 100 years. Okay, when we come to those types of agreements, we then have to take a commercial approach. We then have to take the interests of the residents approach, because we were given these assets by the residents. We cannot sign them over. So if you are coming with that type of agreement, do not expect a begging council. Do not expect a council that will agree to every term and condition. We don't want bowl of soup moments, isn't it? We don't want bowl of soup moments where we will be recorded in history as having sold assets because of bowls of soup. I alluded earlier that there are certain people who became property moguls. I will not say names, but we all know, simply by buying 10 vehicles for the city, 20 vehicles for this, motorbikes for that. They became the biggest real estate owners in the whole city. We don't want that. What we want are relationships that benefit the city. This city has made many people rich. It's ironic how a city that produces millionaires and billionaires is then ridiculed in letters as a poor city, as a city without good managers, as a city that is badly run. Why are you becoming millionaires and billionaires if we were that bad? In Harare, tell me other cities in Southern Africa that has produced, even some of those that have economies that are better flourishing, that have produced as many millionaires as the city of Harare. But the millionaires, we no respect, nothing.
I hope I'm not stepping on the same spot. My worry, Your Worship, when I raised the memorandum of understanding question or contribution, was that my comrades here will have to write detailed articles. And at the present moment, we have a letter from Sakunda, and we have your press conference and audios which were circulated yesterday. So it's the other talking about the other, in what instances, without both parties sharing official documentation of what we had agreed on. The mayor is saying,
Okay, there's clause 9.2.
I'm on about another.
No, I'm not, well, I'm going to say it because it tells me not to do what you want me to do. Clause 9.2, publicity and public announcement. The parties agree that any public announcements or release of details pertaining to the MOU shall be with the written consent of the parties and shall include, but not limited to, the following: format, content, and timing of such announcements.
Does Sakunda have a copy of this?
Obviously.
Are you comfortable with Sakunda giving us this copy?
Well, yeah, well, it's within their rights. The reason why I am not disclosing it, yeah, there he is. The Mr. is actually called Mr. Mberikwazo, C. Chitambo. Yeah, so because Mr. Mberikwazo, who wrote to me, that letter, is the one who signed here.
So
Yeah, he's the one who signed here. I don't know whether by writing in the manner he did, he has voluntarily allowed us to also behave in the same manner. But I won't. So I will not disclose the contents, because there is a format that we agreed that we will disclose the contents by. I will ask them with all sincerity of a city father and a councillor, with the very signature of, it's very elaborate, very beautiful. He actually signed, and he is the very person who goes to discuss the whole thing in a letter that they've released to the public and copied to a number of people. So, but I will not follow his approach, but this memorandum of understanding, if they are willing to have it released, we will have it released.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is John Makanya from Sakunda Media. I just wanted to ask you, maybe 20 years back we had Zwarasiva hosting Premier League games, and with this thing that you are now maybe casting over the Rufaro Stadium, are we not going to see Rufaro? Is this not going to be the end of Rufaro Stadium?
No, it's not going to be the end of Rufaro
What
Stadium.
we've seen is over the years, some of these facilities are not being rehabilitated, but they are just going that way.
We are having people swimming. For the first time, people were swimming in Mbare. And you saw them?
Yeah, maybe talking about
Yeah,
Rufaro Stadium.
people are swimming in Mbare. People will be playing football in Rufaro Stadium. The money is there. The corporate will is there. The breweries I was talking to you about, our city park revenues are there. Football will be played in Rufaro Stadium, and it will be played in a world-class stadium if it is the last thing that we will do. What we will not have are bowl of soup moments. People will swim in all the swimming pools that have been swimming. That's why we started with refurbishing Mbare, and we'll continue with all the swimming pools around Harare. We will restore the sporting facilities, Mbare, the city sports center, and everything else. It's about management. It's not about giving it to other people. But if people want to name it and so forth, it's fine. We can negotiate, but we will not negotiate in a bowl of soup manner. We'll negotiate in a respectful agreement with terms that are beneficial to the residents. But to say we cannot restore a stadium that was built by residents in the 1970s, that can't be possible. It will be built. Yes.
Noting that you said that the money is there and the corporate will is there to finish the Rufaro Stadium. Let's forget about this Sakunda game. It's past us now. What are, maybe if you can give us timelines when Rufaro will be back?
What we need to, well, we have to bring soccer back. We are currently banned from playing soccer.
Everyone else is not banned from playing soccer.
They are playing Buza's soccer.
Yes, they want to play Buza soccer.
They want to play Buza's soccer. Let's put things. Let's deal with frameworks. First of all, we want to urge the Ministry of Sports to be able to quickly sort out the problems that they are having with CAF and FIFA, so that we come back. Then secondly, at our next council meeting, we will start and propose and convince the fellow councillors, he's the chair of the information committee, to ring fence the revenues that will be coming from Rufaro marketing and ring fence the revenues that are coming from the beer levy. And we will commence the work that needs to be done to put Rufaro Stadium to a standard where it can be a decent ground. And then once that's done, that meeting will produce the exact timelines of when the money will start being used. But it will be of immediate effect. Once the chairman convinces fellow councillors, we need to ring fence that revenue stream so that it is not used for anything else. And we are willing to negotiate with this and any other corporate on refurbishing. Maybe people need to take a different approach or to start approaching each other in a more respectful manner, but we will negotiate. There's a lot of corporate interest in soccer, more or less, and we are willing to work in a mutually beneficial process. We have great respect for all corporates that operate in Harare because they employ people. We don't discriminate. We are very happy that they are willing to work with the city, and we cooperate with them. Just towards the end of this year, we are going to have a Christmas cheer fund where we give to the blind, we give to the poor, we give to orphans, and so forth and so forth. And that event is underpinned by the corporates. We have corporates coming who want to work with us, who want to light up the city, who want to donate. And I'll urge this corporate and all other corporates to continue cooperating with the city to bring a Christmas cheer and sports back.
Yeah, thank you. I think we are coming to the end of the take two.
Two.
Yeah.
For context purposes, probably Larry knows better than I do. When last did Faro was Premier Soccer League?
2019.
Yeah. So it's 2020, 2021, 2020.
But there was COVID, my
Yeah,
brother.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying
Let's not. No, because you're all right. Yes, no. But you know there was COVID until. Yes, so no ground was hosting any match. Thank you. So it lasted. All right.
Okay, what I wanted to say was we have to accept as a city, as all stakeholders, that 3 years have been lost, an opportunity to rehabilitate Rufaro Stadium has been lost. You know, let's have a side. What is the current update with Kwanzaa Stadium? The last we heard was Gilbert Angel was doing something, but there's nothing.
He built 2 toilets. We are grateful for the toilets that he built. I think these people are very clean. They are profits. So they were worried that people were not going to the toilet in Kwanzaa Stadium. So we gratefully received the toilets. Yes.
Okay, then I was just going to say, so the money is there, but there is a process here. You have to talk to the councillors about the
No, I'm not an executive mayor. In your wisdom, or the government's wisdom, or lack thereof, the legislators made me a ceremonial mayor. So I operate through a council. So when I say I have to persuade my colleagues, I know the decision I will make. But in terms of format, that decision to make and ring fence the revenues is as good as made. But I have a process that I have to follow. And if I don't follow that process, criminal abuse will follow me.
Okay, I was going to speak to the issues of priority, because I think that's one of the main reasons you engage Sakunda and other pockets in the first place. There are a lot of bills for council, and for Rufaro to be priority, you said you can't give us a timeline now, but I just want to ask you as well now.
Yeah, no, we are going to, I don't think we have lost a lot of, it's just people have to mature in the way they do business in the city. I think not all is lost. I think people retrace their steps, find each other, and we'll be able to move forward. It's not a train smash. The corporates are there. There are many corporates in the city, and I believe there's a lot of interest to deal with our stadia, and we'll be able to produce the framework to do so.
I was actually asking from coffers of council, how will Rufaro be a priority? It's been tough for it to be a priority.
No, it's a ring fence. Some of those funds are already ring fenced by law. So you cannot use them in other area, even if you think that area is suffering toughness. So if it's Rufaro revenue and beer levy, it's already legislated by law that you have to use it for these purposes. So our revenues are not fungible in the main. So if it's for this, it's for that. It's for this, it's for that. So the fact that you have not used it for this does not make it available for that. So this is ring-fenced funding, which will just make sure goes there. The challenge that we are having is that our leases were not performing well because of corruption. We were not getting that revenue because of the reasons that I alluded to earlier. We have since closed those gaps. And once the closure of those gaps give us the revenue pot, because that fund, as long as it comes, it has to be used for that.
For gender purposes, she was raising her hand. Oh, wonderful. Okay. We are left to thank you, members of the state. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Resource Mayor, for addressing the press. Until we meet again, enjoy.
Thank you.